So before we went on our break, we had completed the topic that about the plurality. As long as there is plurality, you will never be able to see the oneness. Am I right? In the one, no plurality. In the one, in that Advaita one, Satchitananda, there is no plurality. And also the thing is that as long as you are seeing plurality, you cannot see the oneness. And how long will I keep seeing the plurality? As long as I'm identified with the body. That is it. So as long as you think you're the body, mind and intellect, your body will always be different from other bodies. Your mind will always be different from other minds. Your intellect will always be different. So you will always constantly see only differences. A very basic way of going from this plurality to the oneness is even just with respect to the body. If you think about the sense organs, so if you say, oh, I've got very beautiful eyes, and then somebody else doesn't, but what you can think is, this is how we have to train our mind to think, because we want to go from this multiplicity to uniqueness, oneness. Then we say that maybe I have more beautiful eyes, but the functioning of that person's eyes and my eyes, is it any different? Like, can my eyes hear and hers don't, or his don't? All the eyes are doing is seeing. All eyes of everybody, not only humans, animals, birds. If it is an eye, it will only see. It cannot smell, it cannot taste, it cannot touch. So that way you can start seeing the oneness. If you go a little bit within yourself, blood. Isn't everybody's blood red? I mean, there are the different types, but it is like that. So this is how you go see the oneness. If you take your own nationality, if you say you are only Maharashtrian, like if I say I'm a Marathi, then I have separated myself from the rest of India. But if I say I'm Indian, then I'm see the oneness with all the Indians. If I say I'm a human being, then I see my oneness with all the humans. If I say I'm a jiva, then I will see the oneness with the animals also, because animals also have jiva. That jiva is the same as ours. And finally, if you go to the supreme reality, then there is absolutely no difference. And this is how we can practice. Like I said, the mind has been thinking in a particular way for ages, for a very long time. And now we need to change that thinking. We need to reverse that thinking. So if we see these type, if we have our mind trained to see these things, then we won't have that, I'm more superior than her or him, or that sort of thing we will not have. That is how you go from plurality to oneness. But as long as you consider yourself to be the body, there cannot be oneness unless you start thinking like this. Yes, I am taller than her, but still all the functionings of all the organs are the same, etc., etc. Okay. And now Bhagwan is telling us he's going on to a different topic, the secret of spiritual growth. What is the secret? What should we do to grow spiritually? What is the method of spiritual evolution? Okay. Antarbahi swam sthirajangameshu nyatvatmanadharataya vilokya tyakta khilopadhirakhanda rupaha purnatmanaya stitaesha muktaha. That man is free who, knowing the self through his mind in all moving and unmoving objects and observing it as their substratum, renounces all superimpositions and remains as the absolute and the infinite self. This is the goal. This is the thinking of a realized master. Okay, so this is the goal for us. Like, this is how we need to start thinking. And what is he thinking? Knowing the self through his mind. Through his mind, please understand, doesn't mean knowing the self as an object of the mind, but by transcending the mind. Okay, so he has come to know that the self in him is the self in all. And then what his vision will be is that he will recognize his own self to be the substratum of everybody, of all humans, animals, sthira and jangameshu. So the moving and unmoving objects. So that includes inert objects, and moving objects includes humans, animals, plants, trees, whatever. So that will be his vision. So that is the, and observing it as their substratum. So he is observing his own self as the substratum of everybody, and not only everybody, but everything, every object, inert as well as sentient. Then he will renounce all superimpositions. He will not see, superimposition is plurality. Please understand, the superimposition is what is giving this variety. Like the most common example I can give you is of a movie. So the screen is only one, but then you see so many objects on that screen. So you see people fighting, you see buildings, you see fire, water, whatever you see. So that is all a superimposition on that one screen. Now he has started seeing the screen, all these other things will vanish for him. This is what it is. This is the vision of the realized master. So this is the final goal. And now we have to grow into that. To reach that is to grow spiritually. Okay, so this is what it is. It's like if you go on top of a very, very tall building, then the traffic on the road, you will feel like they're very minuscule, minor, toy cars, toy trucks. So as you raise yourself higher, and here higher means as you go subtler. Higher means not going physically up somewhere, but subtler within. When you realize that self within, then everything else will not matter as much. The differences will not be seen. Even if they are seen, they will not matter, and they will not influence his judgment. So as spiritual seekers, what our practice should be is we will see the differences. It is, the eyes are open. They are going to see red is red and blue is blue. They're going to see the difference, but it should not affect our mind. And red and blue, and what we do is then not only I see the difference, then I say I like red and I don't like blue. That's another superimposition. So this is just an example. Or I will see person A and person B, and then I like A and I don't like B. Or I see two situations. I don't like snow and I like sunlight. And so I see the differences, and also now my mind is getting affected. And it's setting up a relationship of like and dislike with those things or objects or situations. Don't do that. See the difference. Because you can't avoid seeing. Even the realized master, very honestly, he sees the difference also. It is not like suddenly, the world starts appearing as one to him. He sees the differences, but then it is not affecting his mind at all. He's not setting up a relationship of like and dislike with it. So we can practice that. Even though we see the difference, then and yeah, we may say suddenly, but at least now that we are in these classes, you say okay, but this is not how I should be doing it. Because it's a process. Spiritual progress is a process. It is not going to happen overnight, right? So we have to keep practicing. Okay. Next, Sarvatmata Bandha Vimukti हेतुः सर्वात्म भावांत परोस्ति कश्चित् दृश्याग्रहे सत्युपपद्यते सौ सर्वात्म भावोस्य सदात्म निष्ठया. To recognize the entire universe as the self is the means of release from all sense of bondage. There is nothing higher than realizing the universe as the self. One realizes this state by excluding the objective world through steadfastness in the eternal Atman. So this is the secret to release from bondage. And what is the bondage? Once again, I repeat, it is the bondage of birth and death. It is not, don't think that we are in any way physically bound, or we are actually mentally when we have a lot of likes and dislikes, what we think is, I'm free to do whatever that I want to do. This is what we think. And we think that is freedom. Actually, it is not freedom. Actually, it is slavery to your likes and dislikes. Because your likes and dislikes are pushing you to do something and to not do something. So in actuality, you're a slave. But we think I like it, so I can do it. I can go anywhere. I can do whatever. I don't like it. I will not do it. And we think that's freedom. That is not actual freedom. So this sense of bondage here, entire universe as the self. So self is in capital S, which means the Atman. Once you come to recognize that self by giving up the objective, excluding the objective world through steadfastness. This is what Gurudev has said, attach and detach. So you attach to the higher and these lower things will start falling off slowly, slowly. And steadfastness in Atman is abiding in Atman at all times. And this we have seen in the explanation of the word Adhyatma Nitya. See, Adhyatma Nitya at one stage is doing your reading every day on a daily basis. But at a higher stage, if you have to do 24/7, you cannot read spiritual books 24/7. It is not possible for any human being to do that. I'm sure even Bhagwan Shankaracharya did sleep for some time. It's not like he was having the book and constantly writing his commentaries. So that is not possible. So Bhagwan cannot tell us something which is important. But what is possible is to bring God into every experience of our life. Now that is possible. That is definitely possible. So saying, oh, thank you, Lord, this thing happened. Or, thank you, Lord, you gave me the strength to bear this. So that is what Adhyatma, that is what is abiding in the Atman at all times. Adhyatma Nitya Vinivritta Kamaha is excluding the object. Vinivritta Kama, desire. So when you have this great desire to abide in the self, other desires will slowly not be as powerful. This one thing about desire, what you have to understand also, and it's actually coming in chapter 3 as well, and that's where I'm getting it from, is that the desire will be there, but that push of the vasana has to be reduced. The push should not be there. What happens is when there is a push from within, that's what Bhagavan says in chapter 3, that when that push is there, I can't do anything, he says. I can't tell the person because the internal push is greater than my teaching. It's greater than even my teaching. I'm telling. That's why we tell, doctors tell us, don't do this, lose weight, don't eat sugar. And then do we do that? No. And that is the internal pressure. That internal pressure has to be reduced. That is what is meant by excluding the objective world. Objective world is not going to go anywhere. It is going to remain as is right there. But if my push towards that objective world is not there, that objective world cannot affect me. Let it be there. Let it be there. We have our example of flu virus. Let it be there, but I have taken the flu shot. So do I worry about it? No. That is what it is. So what he's saying is there is nothing higher than realizing the universe as this. Means this is self-realization. This is Jivan Mukti because it is going to take you out of the cycle of birth and death. That is the bondage that we don't recognize because we don't remember our previous births. We don't remember the Sant Ramdas in his Manache Shlok verses to the mind. Even in Das Bodhi says that the fetus undergoes a lot of pain in the womb. And that is the reason he gives that avoid the next birth because again you're going to go through that pain in that womb and don't know which womb you'll go in. That's another thing. We don't know that it will be a human womb. It could be some other womb, right? So that bondage, but most people don't know this. Even I didn't know all this, before I came into this knowledge. So now that we know, we have to use that information and make it knowledge. And information becomes knowledge when we actually practice it. This is what Bhagavan is saying. Why should one realize the self? The question is, why should I realize the self? Because it will take you out of bondage of this birth and this cycle of birth and death. It will take you out of. Okay. Next one. The meter changes here So I'll let me see if I can remember. It's the Dakshinamurti Stotram. दृश्यस्याग्रहणं कथं नु घटते देहात्मनातिष्ठतो बाह्यार्थानुभव प्रसक्तमनसस्तत्तत् क्रिया कुर्वतः सन्न्यस्ताखिल धर्म कर्म विषयैः नित्यात्मनिष्ठा परैः तत्त्वज्ञैकरणीयमात्मनि सदानन्देच्छुभिर्यत्नतः. How is the exclusion of the objective world possible for him who lives identified with the body? It's a rhetorical question. Okay, whose mind is attached to the perception of external objects and who performs various acts for that end. This exclusion should be carefully practiced by sages who have renounced all kinds of duties and actions and objects, who are passionately devoted to the eternal Atman and who wish to possess undying absolute bliss. In my copy, which is quite old, there is a typo. It says who with to possess. So I don't know, it should be wish to possess. So is it wish in you, if you have a later wish, right? Yeah, it is wish. Correct is the wish, the word wish. Ichha, ichu virya yatnata. So now this is what Bhagwan Shankaracharya is saying is, if the person is identified with the body, so what is happening is when first of all, what is identifying with the body means I think I am the body. This is the main basic mistake that all of us are doing. I am this body. Now, if I am this body, this is my frame, 5'4". This is it. Everything outside of this is you. It's different. It's different from me. Plurality, full plurality. Now, not only that I think I'm the body, then I also project that the world is real. If I am doing this, if I think that the world is real, and if I really believe that there is happiness in the world, will I stop going for that happiness? Because all of us, we are wanting happiness and happiness alone. This is what he's saying. He's saying, whose mind is attached to the perception of external objects. Why is the mind getting attached? If the mind really knew that this was false, do I get attached to the $1 million that I won in the dream last night? If the mind knows that that is an illusion, is the mind going to get attached to it? But the very fact that the mind is getting attached to this external objective world is because, of course, the world is real. That is what the mind is thinking. It's not the truth. But this is where we have to change. We have to have a shift there has to be a shift in paradigm. The paradigm shift has to be there. Like, okay, this is a transactional world. It is not really real. It is only meant for me to transcend it. Why? Because the question arises, if it is false and illusory, why is it there? Why is it there? That question is there. The reason that the world is there, and the reason that we see it, and the reason that we are in this world, born in this world, is because of our own vasanas. And we need to recognize and realize and know for sure that this world should be used only for the exhaustion of my vasanas, not for enjoyment. World is not a bhoga bhumi, it is a karma bhumi. That needs to be recognized. Bhoga bhumi is what this world is meant for experiencing. And am I going to ask for bad experiences ever? No. I'm always going to ask for good experiences which give me happiness. And therefore, I go on indulging in the world because I think the world is real. So I go on indulging in this world, which is actually not real, but I think it is real because I think this body is also real and I am the body. Now this body needs so many things. So and who performs various acts for that end. Of course, if I think there is happiness in the world, of course I'm going to perform actions to get that happiness. If I think happiness is in the movies, then I'll go for the movies. If there's happiness in travel, I'll go for travel. If there's happiness in, roaming around or walking, I will go there. I will do that. This is what he's saying. It's like, that's why his question. It's a question. How is it possible? How is it possible? As long as I consider myself as the body, that's why I told you, even in plurality, as long as you think you're the body, there cannot be anything other than multiplicity. There cannot be anything other than plurality, because you're the body, you're right here. That's it. Everything outside of this body is different. This is what Bhagavan is questioning. Now here, this exclusion should be carefully priced. Sages here should be taken as seekers. So if you take the sages as, or those who have realized but have not yet gotten that firm abidance. So if the person is absolutely a realized master, this verse doesn't apply. Like for Raman Maharshi or Tapon Maharaj, then this verse doesn't apply to them, because they have already reached the top. Okay, but there are those who are on the path, and on the path there are levels. So for us, the sage word should be translated into me, myself, like spiritual seekers. Okay, so should be carefully practiced by sages. So this is what I told you. The mind, you have to train the mind to think in this way. Who have renounced all kinds of duties and actions and objects. Now here, this is renounced all kinds of duties. So one meaning of sages here you can take, those who have given up everything, the brahmacharis who have joined any ashram. That is one. Now we are not even there. We are even below. Okay, fine. The book applies to us, and we should only take the meaning that, because you can say, oh, but this is only for sage, so it is not for me. So why should I do? That shouldn't be the thing. This is for us. This is for me. So here what we say, we have not renounced all kinds of duties yet. Okay, we are not at that stage, and actions and objects. So if I have not renounced anything, then let me know the technique. This is where Karma Yoga comes in. If I have to perform action, because I still have a sense of reality in the world, in my duty, I'm a parent, shouldn't I be looking after my children? Shouldn't I be looking after my household, my family, etc., etc.? Okay, no problem. If we are thinking like that, then learn how to act in the world. The way to act in the world is to act in such a way that you get freed from bondage. That is Karma Yoga. That's what it is. But then there are like brahmacharis. They have left everything and they've gone and joined the ashram. So there are brahmacharis, there are swamis. So they have to keep practicing this. They also, because they have not reached. So they have to, but it's easier for them. Because you see, they've already given up. They are in the protection, like Gurudev always said, that this yellow that he gives the brahmacharis and the orange is a fence. He says, like a little sapling is there, you put a fence around it so that the animals won't come and eat that sapling. So he used to say that this orange and yellow is the fence. So they also should not be going crossing that fence, and nobody else should come too close to them either. That's what it is for them. But see, we don't. We are sitting right in the middle of the world and right in the middle of the house and doing all kinds of things. Then let us learn to do them in a particular way. Who are passionately devoted to the eternal Atman and who wish to possess undying absolute bliss. So we as spiritual seekers, at least there should be some desire to possess that eternal bliss. If you don't have that desire, even then we won't be in class. So some desire, okay, 10% desire at least that we should have. Okay. I mean, otherwise, what is the point in calling ourselves a spiritual seeker? So that desire, and not passionately devoted to the eternal, but at least devoted to the eternal. And like I said in my other class, I said, okay, if you don't want to say Atman or God, then what I'm going to say is, do you want peace of mind or not? Watering it down. You get? So nobody is going to say that, no, I want an agitated mind. My mind should be always restless and all that. No. If like that, then fine. Then you can do whatever that you want to do. But if you want some peace of mind, some balance in mind, some balance in life, then this type of thinking has to be developed. Because this is what Bhagavan is saying, that so if I have to develop that sort of thinking, I should reduce my identification with the body. And that's why the first step is to think of yourself as the jiva. It's hard to think of ourselves as the self. So think that you are the jiva. So the jiva has no gender, no form, no occupation, no this thing, okay? Jiva is formless. Jiva is part of Bhagwan. Mama eva ansha jivaha. So that's why you should consider yourself as something other than the body, and that will reduce this attachment to the world. Okay, that's why he says sanyastha akhila dharma karma vishay nitya atma nishtha parai. So instead of dharma and karma, which an ordinary person who is not a spiritual seeker, for him karma is very important, dharma also is very important. When we talked about a karmi. Who is a karmi? Karmi is one who is doing, where karmi is not necessarily a bad person, or he's not doing bad actions. He's doing good actions, but he has desires for himself. Okay? And karma yogi is doing actions same as the karmi, but his main desire is to purify the mind. That is the difference. Okay? So that's why we have to, this karmas that we are doing, let us do the same karma that we were doing previously, but now the focus is on the purification of the mind and not just getting the results. All right? And that, because see, the topic is the secret of spiritual growth. That is now the secret. Now first he gave the goal, what the goal was. Now he's giving the secret. This is the secret. This is how you behave in this world. Treat it as a karma bhumi. Remember these two words are very important. Karma bhumi and bhoga bhumi. We should never think of this world as a means of indulgence. I want to enjoy, I want to experience. It shouldn't be like that. Okay? Sarvatma siddhaye bhikshoho krita shravana karmanaha samadhim vidadhatesha shanto danta iti shrutihi. Now, to the sannyasin who has listened to the discourses upon the scriptures and who has cultivated calmness, self-control, etc., to him the Shruti prescribes samadhi for realizing that the whole universe is the self, sarva atma siddhi. Now here, to the sannyasin, here this word sannyasin should be taken as an advanced spiritual seeker. Okay, so at least I am not an advanced spirit, so I'm going to water it down again to a spiritual seeker. So the one who has, if you krita shravana karmana, so he has Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana are the three methods we have known of realizing the self. So Shravana he has done, the listening he has done, we have done. Okay. Now that we have done listening, then if you remember, Shanta is, Sama, Dhamma, the four Vivek, Vairagya, Shat Sampatti and Mumukshutvam, the four qualifications of a spiritual seeker, that is what this is. Shruti is saying this. Shruti, the Vedas. Upanishad say that. Shravan Maranam Nididhyasanam, these words come in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. So that's where the Guru Yajnavalkya tells his wife Maitreyi, the disciple, that the way to realize the self is to first listen about it. Otherwise, how will you know? Did we know about Atman? We heard, then we came to know. Now, when you come to know, actually, directly in Shravanam, if the mind is purified enough, as in the case of Nachiketas, Shravanam can directly give you realization. Very honestly speaking, if you're that qualified, if you're that ready. And Nachiketas is the perfect example, the boy of 8 years old, who had complete dispassion. He only heard the knowledge, he realized. but we have doubts. So then mananam is required. Okay. And the Shravana Mananam is a self-calmness, self-control. So these are the Shat Sampati that we studied in Tattva Vivek, Tattva Bodh rather. So there is Shama, control of the mind, Dhamma, control of the senses, Shama, Dhamma, Titiksha, forbearance, Samadhana, calmness of mind, and then Uparati, withdrawal, and finally Shraddha, faith. Okay, so control of the mind means that the mind should not be allowed to go out. Because see, there is control of the senses and control of the mind. What is the difference? Control of the senses is defined as not allowing outside objects to come in. That is the control of the senses. And control of the mind is not allowing the mind to go out. Both can happen, right? Both happens. Now, among the two, the mind is more powerful because you can be home with your eyes closed, but the mind can go out and imagine all kinds of things. So the mind is more powerful than the senses, because senses have to be in physical contact with the object to let even that object in. Color and form has to be in front of my eyes to let that color go in or the form go in. But the mind doesn't need the eyes. Mind can imagine, this color was nice, that, cloth was nice, that this thing was nice, that car was nice. So mind can, so this is what Shama and Dhamma is. Either you don't let the mind go out, which is more difficult, or you don't. Because why more difficult? Because the object you can physically remove from your, senses are very limited. If I'm in this room, I can't even see anything that is in the outside room. I can't hear anything that is going outside, happening outside. So senses are limited, but the mind is unlimited. Mind can go in, mind can hear music which was played years ago or whatever and revel in it. So either you do it. So this is what is required. Then you have to have patience, titiksha, because this is not an easy path. Patience, because this is not an easy path. Right? So even like to study this Vivekachudamani, we need a lot of patience. There's 600 verses we have to go through. Right? 18 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita. That's why people leave in between. They get tired, they can't. So titiksha is required. Shama, Dhamma, titiksha. Uparati, withdrawal. The definition of withdrawal that Bhagavan Shankaracharya is given is very beautiful. What he's saying is Swadharma Anusthana is Uparati. Swadharma Anusthana means whatever is my dharma, if I only stay within that, I will automatically withdraw from what I'm not concerned with. Very common example is, it is not my dharma to know what my neighbor is doing. So if I understand that, there will be automatic withdrawal from whatever the others are doing. This is not my concern. Nah. If they come and ask me for some advice or something, that's one thing. But if they're not asking me or not, then it's not my concern. So that is withdrawal. That is one way of withdrawing, is that just mind your own business and let the others live whichever way they want to live. So mind your own business. That's uparati also. And then withdrawal from the outside objects, etc. Then samadhana is single pointedness of mind. So you will get single pointedness of mind when you think that that object is important. Otherwise, your mind will be distracted. Nah? If you think that this is very important, then, so if you put the importance onto the self, and like I said, water it down to peace. If you think that peace of your mind is important to you, then you will do things which will be conducive to that peace, not to put the mind in pieces by thinking of so many other things which we are not really concerned with. And faith has to be there in the means, and faith has to be there in the goal, that there is a goal, that it is possible to get freedom from this bondage of birth and death. Okay, so that is faith, because nobody has seen that. So that faith has to be there. Faith has to be there in the scriptures that they're telling me. The faith has to be there in the guru who is telling us. Bhagavan Shankaracharya is saying it, like I said, this Vivekachudamani, even Tattva Bodh of Bhagavan Shankaracharya, for us it is Shruti. Shruti actually is that which is heard. Vedas only fall under the definition of Shruti. But at our level, Tattva Bodh also is Shruti only, because it has been said by Bhagavan Shankaracharya. Okay? Bhagavad Gita to definitely, but even both Tattva Bodh and Vivekachudamani for us means what I'm saying by Shruti means we should have that same level of respect. Not like whatever, Upanishad, not like that. This is all from Upanishad only. So we should have that this thing. Okay? To him, the Shruti prescribes Samadhi. Then, once you have developed these qualities, then Shruti is saying, now you try for Samadhi. That's why this word Sannyasin is for an advanced seeker. But for us, let us at least practice these virtues. This 6 Shat Sampatti, let us practice. Sampatti here, like in Daivi and Asuri Sampatti, it is internal wealth. It is not money, external wealth. It is this is Daivi Sampatti. Now we are studying Daivi and Asuri Sampatti in 16. So this is this Daivi Sampatti that we need to develop. And then when the mind becomes calm enough, then meditation. Samadhi is meditation. Meditation is possible. Nididhyasana. Okay. So for us, let us at least try and practice Daivi Sampatti, which we are now studying, and or all this is Daivi Sampatti. Shama, Dama, Titiksha, all this is falling under Daivi Sampatti. Okay. I'm just giving you because the texts are going on simultaneously, so you should be able to connect. All right. Okay. Arudha shakte rahamo vinashah kartun shakya sahasa pipanditaihi ye nirvikalpakhya samadhi nishchalaha tanantarananta bhavahi vasanaha. Even wise men find it impossible to suddenly destroy the ego once it has become strong. Except for those who have become perfectly calm through Nirvikalpa Samadhi, indeed, desires are the effects of innumerable births. So, the ego is a bundle of memories. Ego is identification with one thing or the other, which we are not, like identification with the body, identification with the mind. And what Bhagavan is saying here is even the wise men. So wise men here can be taken in 2 aspects. One is wise man is Panditahi word is there. So a realized master, and we give the example of Yajnavalkya here. See, Yajnavalkya was a realized master. Okay, there's no doubt about that. But he got very angry. So what was that anger? Where does anger arise from? Ego. So he, even though he was realized, he got extremely, there was a Janaka Sabha in which he got very angry. Okay, and he won the debate. He was a very intelligent, very, and he came home, and while coming back to the ashram, that time he said that now I want to even get rid of this anger, this ego. And therefore he decides to go, and that's where his wife says, why are you going? And he tells her, and that's the whole teaching of that Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. So this is what Bhagavan is referring. So wise men here is those who have realized. Now, if for wise men it is difficult to destroy the ego, think how much more difficult it is for us, because we are not even, we are even below, right? So there is a lot of work that we have to do for destroying the ego. And the reason is that ego is the only thing that is standing between us and the pure self. There is nothing else that is standing between the two of us. There is the ego. And the ego is the one that separates. I am different from you. This is what the ego always says. So what he says is, they find it impossible to destroy the ego. Now think about us. If they find it impossible, how much more impossible it is for us. Okay? Except for those who have become perfectly calm through Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Now, so Nirvikalpa Samadhi here is now Jivan Mukti. So when you go into Nirvikalpa Samadhi, where there is absolutely no difference, there is 2 Samadhis, Savikalpa and Nirvikalpa. We are not even at the stage of Savikalpa. So forget Nirvikalpa. but at least we can calm the mind down. At least we can try to disidentify from the body, mind, intellect. For us, it is only a matter of trying. We have to keep trying. So here Bhagwan is saying that those people who have realized, they find it impossible to, this is what Yajnavalkya, that is exactly what he did. He said, now I want to go and practice samadhi and I do not want to teach or do anything. So all his karmas he gave up. He had a whole lot of students. He was teaching the scriptures. It wasn't that he was doing this. He was in the ashram. It's a very rich ashram, and he was teaching. And he said, now I don't even want to teach. I want to give up everything so that I can only practice being in samadhi. In modern times, we see this with Raman Maharshi. See, with Raman Maharshi, at home at the age of 16, he actually realized the self. Okay, this is Raman Maharshi's, this is true story. Okay, not this thing, and it has happened in recent times, much more recent than Yajnavalkya. So he realized, and then he gave up everything because he got that glimpse of the bliss. He thought, oh my God, that is eternal bliss. What am I doing in this miserable world? And he left everything and he went and he sat behind that in the temple in the back, and that is what he did. He practiced samadhi until he got really established in that, and he didn't even come out of it. His foremost disciple found him there. They found him and they realized that he was a great master. So this is what Bhagwan is saying here, that those who have realized, they find it difficult, so they now need to go practice samadhi. That is what Yajnavalkya did. He left and he went into practice of samadhi. Raman Maharshi did the same thing. Practice of samadhi. So now if we have to translate it for us, we are at a stage where we should at least get the mind calm. And calmness of mind is reduction of that push of vasanas, desires. Okay. So when we are asked to rest, we should be able to rest. We should be able to invoke tamas and be able to rest. We can't, right? Doctor, rest, and no, we want to go out and we want to do this and that. That is not this. Okay? Clear? Now, that state of hushed bliss is called nirvikalpa samadhi. Now this. Aham buddhaiva mohinya yojayitva vruter balat vikshepa shakti purusham vikshepayati tadgunaihi. The projecting power through the aid of the veiling power confuses the man with storms of egoistic ideas and distracts him through the attributes of that agitation. Now we have come back to projecting power and veiling power. So projecting power is what? Rajas. Veiling power is tamas. And we come back to our favorite example of rope and snake. I told you long time back that never ever forget the rope and never ever forget the snake. Hold it to your chest. So the rope is first weight. The projection cannot happen unless the veiling happens. Please remember that. As first tamas, then rajas. So first the veiling happens. First the rope is not seen as a rope, and now there is a projection of snake or garland. Could be you could think, oh, there's a garland waiting there for me, and you'll be happy. But both are projections. And the projection is what is creating agitation. Veiling does not create agitation. Veiling is ignorance. You don't see a thing as is. Now, what is happening in our cases? What is the veiling for us? Now, snake and rope example, we have heard many times. It's outside of us. What is it subjectively, this veiling? Is that I don't see myself as the self. That is the veiling. And now, because I don't see myself as the pure self, I see myself as the body, mind, intellect. Veiling, and then now there is a projection that I am this body, mind, and intellect. Now that projection is causing agitations. Why? Because now the body, mind, intellect only sees differences and then wants things, has desires, and those to fulfill those desires, I go into action. And then the same cycle, either the desire is fulfilled, there is greed for more. If the desire is not fulfilled, There is anger. We have seen the ladder of fall. That all that is causing agitation. This is what this is. So, and the man with storms of egoistic ideas. What is ego? Ego is, I told you, ego is the one that separates us. So there is, I want this, I want that, this. This is all ego, coming from ego, anger, jealousy, greed, Asuri Sampati. These are all Asuri Sampati. They'll be described now in the chapter. And they come out of this ego. Okay, and they are agitating. Look at our experience, if can I feel happy if I'm feeling angry about something, or I'm feeling jealous about somebody, or if I'm very greedy, I want something very badly. Can I be happy? I can't. I'll be agitated only, na? And why is that agitation happening? Because I'm functioning from the wrong platform. You know what it is? I'm functioning from the platform of body, mind, intellect. Now you raise your platform, you raise yourself to the jiva or the self even. And then see how these agitations will vanish. Okay. So the power of, like Gurudev is, power of it renders the intellect incapable of apprehending reality. That's what's happening with us. We are veiled. We don't know what our real self is. We don't know. And now we are agitated. Now, next one. Next, as you can see, it is a, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 lines, so it doesn't have any meter. Vikshepa Shakti Vijayo Vishamo Vidhatum Nishesham Avaran Shakti Nivrutya Bhave Drig Drishyayoho Sfuta Payo Jala Vad Vibhage Nashe Tadavaran Atmani Cha Swabhavat निस्संशयेन भवति प्रतिबंध शून्यो विक्षेपणाम नहीं तदा यदि चेन मृषा अर्थे. What is being told here is the method to get over that veiling and projecting power. How do I get over this? It is happening. Veiling is happening, because of which projecting is happening. Tamas is there, because of which rajas is coming into play, and that rajas is causing me agitation. Now, because the topic is what? The secret of spiritual growth. So what is the secret of spiritual growth now? If this veiling and projecting is causing me agitation, which means my mind is not calm, and we said that spiritual growth is to have a calm mind. Spirituality, the bottom line is the mind should be calm no matter what. So if we have to achieve that, now what do we have to do? And this is what this verse is explaining. It is extremely difficult to conquer the projecting power. Okay, that we understood, because we can't, unless the veiling power is perfectly rooted out. So the cause, root, right? The root cause is veiling. And it's like very common. You have a infection in the chest, and then now you have a fever. So the fever is the projection. The root cause is the infection. As long as you leave the infection and you're only taking, say, Tylenol for the fever, that fever will go and come back, because the cause is there still now. So this is, as long as the veiling is there, there'll be different projections. Maybe it is not snake, maybe now it is garland, maybe it is something else, maybe it's something else. So there'll be all these various kinds of projections can never go away unless the veiling goes away. This is what is being said, because the veiling is the first thing. Second is projection. So veiling, if you take it away, cause, if you take it away, the effect cannot stay. Okay. So it's perfect. And that covering over the Atman naturally vanishes when the subject is perfectly distinguished from the objects, like milk from water. This drashayoho sfuta payo jala. That Hansa bird, swan bird, it separates milk and water. So this drish viveka, discrimination. So what will take the veiling power away? Veiling away is the discrimination. Discrimination between what? Discrimination between real and unreal, like milk and water. Like milk and water, the swan bird the mythical swan bird is said to, it can separate water and milk. Because you see why water and milk example is given, because they are very well mixed. See, if there was lentil and rice, white and yellow, very easy to separate, isn't it? They don't give that example. They give milk and water. Which means what? Which means they recognize that it is very, very difficult for us to understand what is real and what is unreal. Body is unreal, self is real. It's mixed like that. There is anonya adhyas. There is mutual superimposition. And because of that, it is extremely difficult to separate. This is what is being said. So the way to root, first point is, unless the veiling is removed, the projection cannot be removed, okay? Because veiling is cause, projection is effect. So veiling has to be removed first. How to remove the veiling is by discrimination. And what is the highest discrimination? Because we need the highest discrimination here. That is the definition given in Tattva Bodh, is Sat Asat Vivek. Understanding the difference between what is really real, because I use the word really real, quote unquote, really real, and unreal. And really real is that which doesn't change in the 3 periods of time. And the real, which we think is real, this world is real, this body is real, is changing in the 3 periods of time. That discrimination, when it comes, when it becomes perfect, when that discrimination is perfected, and please understand, it is extremely difficult. That's why milk and water example is being given. Understand, it is that way they are mixed, milk and water. So everything appears as milk only. Okay, white is perfect from perfectly like milk from water. But the victory is undoubtedly complete, and it becomes free from all obstacles when there is no oscillation of the mind due to the false sense objects. So what is the first thing to do? Is stop the oscillations of the mind. And I have always given you this trick, and I believe it very much, believe it, that you know what is meant for you, you will get it. You will get it. If sorrow is meant for you, you cannot avoid it no matter what. If happiness is meant for you, you cannot avoid that either. Like I was just, telling before the class, see, there was this, I was in Belize recently, and we did cave tubing, something which I had not heard of before. And I was not even going to go for it. My daughter had told me, Mom, there's something like this. And I said, no, I don't want to do it. But it was meant for me. And the reason that it was meant for me was because we were sitting separately, and this guy was sitting next to me, and he told me that if you are going to Belize, there are 2 things that you must do. The rest all is all paraphernalia. He said, one is cave tubing, one is the Tikal ruins. Now, Tikal ruins we were already doing. And because he said it, I did it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done it. I had actually said, no, sir, I'm scared and all that. And I said, I can't swim. It is in the river. And, and then he said, no, you don't need swimming. You just sit in the tube and the guide is pulling you. So that's where I recognize. That's why I get the recognition that, if it was meant for me to do it. And in spite of the fact that, what I'm saying is, if you're going to get it, you might say, no, I don't want it. It is going to come to you. So if you get firmly established in this, you will become calm. That agitation will reduce. Try it. You have to try it for yourself and see. You have to experience it for yourself and see. Okay? Okay. Are there any questions so far?
Jayaji, I was just going to ask you, like when we were growing up in India long time back, like at that time, there was a lot of discrimination between the different communities, like between like the people who did the cleaning and all of that. And, we were not allowed to go for them. As well as between, the other communities. And those things are so like ingrained in us because we've been taught that, they are like this, and we should not, so like, I mean, as spiritual seekers, like you said, we should be going past that, and we should be decreasing our likes and dislikes, or, feelings towards, different communities. But at the same time, like these days, you hear so much about, conflict. Like right now, we hear about so much intercommunal conflict in India. And, as Hindus, we feel that, I mean, how can we contribute, to keep, like part of us feels that what should we be doing? I mean, should we just sit on the fence and watch and say no, because this thing agitates us and it's not part of what I really want to do? I'm just going to sit back. But then at the same time, it also tells you, or something in the back of your head says, no, you have to speak up, you have to stand for your rights. So, like, what is the right way of approaching this conflict in the mind? Or should we not be involved at all?
No, it first of all, you decide it which way you can help can you help the conflict? Right? War is going on right now, right? Forget this internal conflict. Such a huge war is going on. So what can you do? Now, one thing we can do is, okay, that's the only thing that I could do is give to the Ukrainian refugees. I can't keep anybody in my house or anything, right? See, as spiritual seekers, we know that there is really no this kind of difference, right? That's why if we raise our if we reach that stage of realization, you will come to know that all this is an illusion. It's a dream that is going on. But right now we are a part of the dream. We are in the dream and we think all this is real. Okay, but that is not a fact. It's not a fact. We think like that. Okay, if I think like that, then you see, if you can do something, do. Can you really do something to stop it?
No. Well, like I'll give you an example. Like there's a guy in Toronto who has been, asking all of us to sign up this petition where, they want to stop the azan that is being broadcast every morning, during Ramzan time or, whatever. And he's saying that, we, like as Hindus, it is our responsibility, or as Canadians, it's our responsibility that we should not encourage this type of, broadcasting of personal prayers, like on the loudspeakers and all that.
Oh, that Allahu Akbar that they do.
Whatever, like, I mean, I myself, having grown up in India, we used to hear, Allah
5 times a day. Yeah, Bombay. Yeah.
Mine on the other side, and then some Gurdwara, people chanting on the other side.
Yeah, so, but you have to understand that, see, there is always a freedom of speech. They also have their religion and we are in a free country. So as far as signing of petition is concerned, you need not sign it. It is not that you sign it, then you become a good Hindu. That you shouldn't have in, I'm bad Hindu if I don't sign this. That shouldn't be there. That conflict you should not have in your mind. Good person, then that is different. That is come from ego. See, even saying I'm a Hindu is coming from ego. It's separating. Now you're a Hindu, so they're a Muslim, so now you're separate from them. That's why I said that to see the oneness, you need to go beyond the body, na? Beyond your birth, beyond your body. When you transcend, birth becomes immaterial. So if we are trying to be spiritual seekers, and if that is what he's saying, I don't think, I mean, I personally wouldn't sign that, because if he's telling me that you're a good Hindu only if you sign this, then no, thank you very much. Let me be a bad Hindu. I would rather be a good human being than a good Hindu. So it is very, it's very personal, and this is how you have to learn from the teachings and think for yourself. Anything when it said, you're a good Hindu, bad Hindu, this Hindu, that, good Muslim, bad Muslim, it's all coming from ego. We want to transcend all these. We want to go beyond. Okay.